You boot up your favorite game. The familiar music washes over you, a comforting blanket in a digital world. You grab your controller, ready to conquer another level, another challenge. But what if that world held a deeper truth, something sinister lurking beneath the surface? The internet is a breeding ground for theories, and video games are no exception. Behind the colorful characters and catchy tunes, some gamers believe there are horrifying secrets waiting to be unraveled. One thing that gamers really enjoy is delving into the made-up worlds of their best games to try to find secret messages and meanings that the developers left behind. It's fun and interesting to think about our favorite video game worlds and conspiracies about them years after the games themselves have come out. You can use this idea to look for hidden meanings and symbols in almost any kind of art. The gaming community has a lot of fan theories. Some are obviously ridiculous, but they're still fun to read. Other theories are more logical and have at least some evidence to back them up. Shadow of the Colossus. Wander and Mono aren't a couple. At the beginning of this well-reviewed game, our brave hero Wander rides his horse Aggro to the Forbidden Lands with the body of a woman named Mono. For having a cursed fate, Mono had to be killed and offered. Wander brings her body to the shrine of worship to life again. To do this, he has to follow the vague directions of a voice that doesn't exist called Dorman. Dorman tells him to find and kill all 16 Colossi that roam the land. Following this, he kills the Colossus just for her. There's no question that Wander and Mono loved each other more than anything else, right? To begin, there is no proof that Wander and Mono were dating before the game. All we know is that Wander has strong feelings for Mono. It's unclear whether they were in love, or whether they knew each other as kids and Wander loved her without returning the love. It's also possible that they had never met before she was killed. Others say that the recovered Mono doesn't seem to recognize Aggro at the end of the game, even though the trusty horse and its rider were very close. This is another hint. Two more things. In Shadow of the Colossus, the two characters never talk to each other. This means that the story leaves a lot of room for fan ideas. One more idea is that Wander is a Templar who made the sacrifice and does what he does because he feels guilty. No matter what, Wander is so obsessed with his feelings that he can't see straight. He doesn't even ask himself why he's killing all that mostly harmless Leviathans. As he starts, he says, "It doesn't matter. It's clear that the journey will go badly." If you think that the connection at the heart of Shadow of the Colossus might not have existed at all, that makes it an even bigger tragedy. Pokémon. The Great Pokémon War. One of the most popular video game series of all time is Pokémon, and fans have a lot of ideas about what the monster catching and fighting series is all about. The Pokémon War theory is a strong theory that tries to make sense of some of the strangest things that happen in the Pokémon universe. This is how the idea works. The stories of Pokémon Red, Blue, and Yellow take place just a few years after a terrible war between Kanto and a rival nation, or maybe even a world war involving Pokémon. Both you and your rival lost parents in the war, and you are now one of the first young people to be born after the war. This would explain why your foe is an orphan and you don't have a father in the game. It would also explain why your mother knows you as the man of the house and why 10-year-olds are free to go on trips around the world without being watched. These facts make other parts of the Pokémon world seem much scarier. There aren't many hospitals or gyms. There aren't many grown men, except for the older people in organized crime groups like Team Rocket, and there isn't much infrastructure or people. The conversation with Lieutenant Surge, "Hey kid," is probably the best proof of the idea. "Are you sure you want to be here? You won't last long in battle, without a doubt. Kid, electric Pokémon saved me in the war." Destiny. The Guardians are the darkness. It looks like Destiny has a pretty simple plot. The Guardians protect what is good, and the Traveler is a good ship, being, or god that helped start humanity's golden age, and then gave its life to save the last few humans when an evil force called the Darkness almost wiped them out. The Traveler is in danger from the Darkness, which is bad, and what ended the golden age. The Guardians fight to protect the Traveler from the Darkness. It sounds pretty black and white, doesn't it? People have said that Destiny's song sounds too basic, and they have told her so. What if there was more to the story than we thought? Fans have thought that the Guardians might be the Darkness. People who play the game have heard fallen dregs yell something that sounds a lot like "it's the Darkness" when you attack them. Another idea is that we don't really know we're on the right side of things. We don't know much about the Traveler or where it came from. and we don't know much about the darkness or what it is. People who have played the game have also said that the ghouls use troubling language, such as slaughter, decimate, and even just kill them all. It's tough to believe that a good force would use such words. Guardians also have names like Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks, which are all bad words, while enemies have names like Knights and Wizards. The theory says that the Traveler is either a weapon or a bad entity that has enslaved humans to kill as a proxy army of the dead. It even says that the Traveler caused the collapse and almost wiped out humanity. This important passage from a Guardian's diary about their worries about their good goal doesn't make it any better. The ghost told me, "You are a dead thing made by a dead power that looks like a dead person. You will only kill from now on. You don't belong here." Super Mario Bros. Every Mario game is just a performance. A lot of us have heard the two popular game theories about Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3. One says that the events of Super Mario Bros. 2 were just dreams and never happened. The other says that the curtains, hanging stage blocks, and flat worlds in Super Mario Bros. 3 show that the game is actually a play, and Mario and his friends are the actors. This theory was recently proven to be true. One puzzle is now solved, but what if the rabbit hole goes even deeper? To begin, the Mario series has almost every kind of game you can think of, from platformers to racing, sports, fighting, and role-playing games. There doesn't seem to be much of a link between any of the games. The Mario family seems to be at ease in almost any type of game. One fan theory says that the idea goes beyond one game, and that Mario and his friends are really just a group of players who play different roles in each game. This means that each Mario game has been like a stage play. It doesn't make sense, so what's the proof? The levels in Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine are both called episodes, which sounds like episodes of a TV show. The Mario Party games are also a lot like reality TV, which explains why the characters can go from being fierce foes to best friends in an instant. Finally, there are flying Lakitu camera teams in a few games, like The Truman Show. These can be seen in Mario 64 and all of the Mario Kart games. Pokémon Go. The game has a dark secret. The mobile game Pokémon Go was the big hit of the summer, giving people a much-needed break from the terrible year 2016. It brought back memories, was cute, was new, and most of all, it was fun, even though it didn't seem to have anything to do with the games that came before it. Or did it? Before long, Pokémon fans had unanswered questions. Where does Go fit into the main storyline of Pokémon? Why does the way you catch and train Pokémon look so different, even if it is just simple and smaller? And finally, what does it mean that players can pick from 3 teams? Team Mystic, Team Baylor, and Team Instinct. Why aren't any of them in the Generation I games? The idea goes like this. Pokémon Go is the first game in the history of Pokémon, and it's mostly about how things build up to the very bad Great Pokémon War. Not all 151 first-generation Pokémon can be found in Pokémon Go yet because they haven't been found, and Professor Oak hasn't made the first Pokédex. In Generation I, the Aerodactyl, Omanyte, and Kabuto are dead, and can only be brought back to life through fossils. However, in Go, you can see them in the wild. Trainers can only throw Pokéballs at Pokémon, and you can't hurt them first because the idea of planned battle hasn't been thought of yet. As of now, there are no expert trainers and no TMs or HMs, so trainees can't teach their Pokémon new moves. They also don't know how to level up their Pokémon through fight, so they use sweets instead. It's also not like the League where there are gyms and gym leaders. This means that gyms are always changing hands. Here's the scary part. The 3 opposing groups, Team Baylor, Team Mystic, and Team Instinct, have very different beliefs and very powerful Pokémon. They start the Great Pokémon War over the issue of artificial Pokémon like Porygon and Mewtwo. The war is so violent that by Generation I, all of them are gone, wiped out in the chaos of the war, forgotten from history, or maybe even banned because of the damage their different ideas caused. During the war, candy was banned because it was seen as immoral. This made it very, very hard to find. We might even say rare candies. The lights flicker, the controller feels strangely cold in your hand. The playful music you knew seems to have a sinister edge now. Do you dare to keep playing, or has this glimpse into the shadows permanently altered your experience?